test scenario, test cases template. Okay, so some templates we have seen. Okay, so also the test plan. So the test plan documentation also I have shown to you. Okay, so the today's class is also important. Okay, so rest of the classes are also the important. So today we are going to discuss about the interview questions which will be asked in the interview as a agile and scrum point of view. Okay, these are the very important. Uh, Only I'm just going to repeat the agile process. That's it. Agile scrum for the interviews. So these are the very important. As a part of the interview, they might have about agile. Okay, they also prepare the agile tester because nowadays companies are using the agile methodology and also prepare the agile tester. So the tester is working in the agile environment. That tester is known as the agile tester. Okay, agile scrum tester. You know the agile model, so you are working in the testing as a tester in the agile, so you can say that you are the agile tester. Okay, so you can say I am familiar with waterfall model as well as the agile, and currently I am using the agile. Okay, your organization are using the agile model, agile and the scrum framework. Okay, so the what kind of the question they can ask in the interview. Okay, in the point of agile or scrum, in the manual kind of interview questions, so they may ask functional testing, okay, regression, all this thing kind of the testing they will ask. After that, the agile at computer the agile methodology, so they will ask about the some few words about what are the terminology are used in the agile and scrum. Okay, what is agile, what is scrum, so they may be asked. Okay, so what is agile model or agile methodology or agile process. So simply you can say this is the STLC model, and it is an iterative and incremental approach. Okay, it is the iterative and incremental. So iterative means what? So there is a cycles. Okay, iterative means what? There is a cycle. Okay, we are going to repeat that iteration. So the every iteration is known as what? Sprint. Okay, an incremental approach means we are repeating, we are increasing the sprint. That is what incremental approach. Okay, so in a one sprint we have the user story, we are working the user story in, and that is deliverable, and in the next iteration or sprint you are using the another user story, that is what incremental. Okay, so we are increased. So simply we can say what is agile, you can say is the iterative and incremental approach or methodology. Okay, incremental, that implements the feature adding the new modules. Okay, why you can say that is iterative? Iterative means we have the sprint. Okay, incremental means every sprint we are adding the new modules. Okay, so if you are working on the one user story, login user story, then in the next module we were going to work on the adding the new registration. Okay, that is another module. Okay, so we can say that is incremental. So simply we can say iterative and incremental model. So now what is the agile principles? Okay, what is the agile principle? Okay, so that is also the very important. What are the agile principle? You know, the scrum is the framework which follows the agile principle. Okay, scrum, kanban, sorry, so these are the framework which follows the agile principle. Okay, then what are the agile principle? You know, the customer no need to wait for a long time. Okay, these are the some principle. Okay, you can say these are the advantages of the agile process. Okay, so they might ask the question about what are the advantages and why we should go for the agile methodology. Okay, so you might have to know this type of answer. Okay, about the agile. So customer is no need to wait for a long time, you know, in the waterfall model, so they have to wait for the long time. So once the one phase is get completed, then another phase will get start. that is depend on the phases. Okay, so the last the customer will get the product, and if you having the some requirement and we want to do the change, so entire the cycle we need to follow. So here, so customer is no need to wait for the long time. So as the sprint is get completed at the last day of the sprint, a deliver will get to the customer. So the piece of the software will get the customer, right? So no need to wait for the long time. So the customer will get happy because the customer will know that how what is the going on in my project. Okay, so the space of the software you are getting the early the end of the sprint. Okay, so this is one of the one principle that is very important. Then the next one is what we develop, okay, then test and release the piece of software to the customer with a few number of features. So yeah, so every sprint, every feature, okay, every sprint, that is one every build, okay, so having the new feature, right? So the developer is going to develop, okay, so the tester is going to test and we are going to release. Okay, test, develop and release, this is happen in the entire sprint. Okay, that is one sprint we are going to have that is happening, develop, test and release to the customer. So you know the piece of the software will get to the customer and with having the some few number of features. And the next sprint also having the adding the new module, that is a new additional features. So that is what, that is the principle of the agile. You know the customer is getting the new build, okay, the piece of software are getting. So that software is developed by the developer as well as it is also tested by the tester, because without testing, okay, so we can't release, right? So once the when the sprint we have the developer is doing the work on the development, and after completion, the tester will do the test the developed application, developed the build by the developer. Okay, so if this is okay, so if there is deliverable or it is a release, okay, so then we can that get to the customer. Okay, that will be released to the customer, right? If there any changes is required, then the product owner and customer they will ask. So they will put the request in the you know uh, product backlog. Okay, so as per the priority. So you know the third is third and very important, that is we can accept and accommodate the requirement changes. This is most useful the principle in the agile. You know, so we are always ready to do the changes. Okay, so now in the one sprint the developer is developed, the tester has test, and we are released the build to the customer. Okay, so without testing we can't release the build to the customer. The build is nothing but the piece of software, right? So the customer want to do the some changes, we are really accepted because we have the short time of period. Okay, so only 2 to 4 week of sprint time, so we are going to follow the 2 week of the sprint in our organization, we can say. And the 2 week of the sprint, every sprint we are going to release the build. Okay, every sprint we are going to release the build and customer having any changes and requirement, and we are ready to do that. Okay, because we know no need to wait for the 2 or 3 years or 4 years for doing any changes, right? So that's why we are going to use here the agile scrum, okay, agile methodology. So these are what for principle for the agile, you know. So customer is no need to wait for the long time. Also we are going to build, develop, test and release. Okay, the piece of software will get to the customer. Also the we are accept any kind of the requirement and any kind of the changes. So these are very most important as a point of the interview. You have to express this one. Okay, what is agile principle, what is agile methodology, what is agile process. So you have to explain. Okay, then there will be the good communication between the customer, business analyst, developer and tester, because we have the daily scrum call. Okay, we can say the scrum meeting, right? So the sprint planning meeting. Okay, we plan the sprint, okay, which user story we have to work, right? Then at the end of this one we have the sprint retrospective meeting, right? We have the one sprint backlog. Okay, so we have the one meeting, which meeting we have at the end of the sprint? Daily scrum, and end of the day, end of the sprint, there will be the one meeting. retrospective meeting, and apart from that we have the another meeting. What is the name of that meeting? Retrospective meeting, what went well. Okay, sprint review is there, right? Yeah. So the sprint review meeting, what we are going to do, we are going to review that the build, okay, that is developed in the sprint review. Okay, so that is the end of the sprint review and sprint retrospective, what went well. Okay, so that means there will be the good communication between the customer, business analyst, developer, and tester. Okay, every sprint review, all this roles, respond, all this these team members are there. Okay, so and that is present to the product owner and client in that build. Okay, what we need to improvement, and whatever we are doing in this user story, that is we have 100% achieve or not. So everything we are going to discuss, right? And we have the daily scrum call, daily meeting. We have very good communication between the customer, developer, and tester. And the other, apart from this other SDLC model, so we have the less meeting. Okay, but in the scrum meeting we have the lot of meeting. Okay, in the agile part of, we have the, apart from the daily scrum, we have the other meetings also. Okay, so that's why we have the better communication between the customer. Okay, because the customer is going to interact with the every sprint. Okay, sometimes or maybe a later, but he is going to be updated. Okay, he is going to be updated what is going on in my project. So because we are sending the daily defect report, okay, status report, everything, so he's aware about that one. So these are what principle about agile. So in the interview they will ask the questions about what is agile. Okay, what is agile principles. Agile is the methodology, agile is the model, agile is the process, agile is the SDLC model. It is an iterative and incremental approach. Let us explain what is iterative and what is incremental. Okay, incremental means adding the new features, and iterative means that there is a sprint. Okay, so one sprint, second sprint, third sprint, that is what incremental. Sorry, iterative. And incremental means in the each sprint we are adding the new features. Okay, you have to explain properly. Yes. The next. Okay, so this is what agile process. Agile is SDLC model. Okay, so we have the some advantages and disadvantages. Okay, so what are the advantages for the agile process? As you know, the customer get piece of software. Okay, and we are always ready to do the any changes. Okay, any accommodate requirement at the middle of the development, right? So the requirement changes are allowed in any stage of development. Okay, any stage, because currently we are working in the login, and we are registering, and we have the customer get any requirement. Okay, so we have to add something there, we have to do something, and suddenly we shift to the another module, and there is a requirement or changes going to be happen, need to do the changes in the requirement login or registration. So we can move towards there. Okay, we can go back to the our registration and login. So we are going to work on that as per the priority basis. Okay, as per the priority basis. So customer is saying to do work first. Okay, whatever you are doing, they leave with that one, and you have to select that user story as per the requirement, and we need to do the first. Okay, so as per the requirement, as per the priority by the customer, we can middle of the project we can do the changes in there. Okay, no problem, right? So this is very most useful advantages. So requirement changes are allowed in the any stage of development, or we can accommodate the requirement changes in the middle of the development, no problem. Then releases will be the very fast, so whatever the sprint we are giving the releases. So that is what documentation or build means piece of the software, and the report. Okay, weekly we are going to give the releases, we can say that is what releases. Then customer no need to wait for the long time, good communication between the team, and it is very easy model to adopt. Okay, that is very easy model, right? So we have seen the lot of model having the some lot of you know some complicated things are there. Okay, prototype model and everything, spiral model. Okay, so this is what very easy and very simple model, and 90% the IT companies are following this one. Okay, so you can also say I'm aware about this agile model, and I'm also currently working in the agile model. Okay, agile process. So these are the advantages. Okay, then what are the disadvantages for this agile? Okay, so let's focus on the design and documentation. Okay, because we are always work on the user story, right? So that is we are not going to focus on the design and documentation because we have which follows the less documentation in agile process. Okay, since we deliver the software very fast, so that's why we not go for the any documentation. We only go for the user story. Only we have the lots of meeting, in meeting all the requirements we work. Okay, because lots of meeting are here. So what we were to do today, and something the requirement gets changes, or the priority on the base of the priority, because in the scrum call in the meeting, so we have to work on like that one. Okay, so today we got the meeting and they are suddenly said we have to do the work on this one, so we must have to do the work on that one. Okay, so this is very important because there is a no formal documentations. Okay, so we have to work on this one, that one, no, so we have the meeting. So in the meeting we need to they identify work. Okay, they are saying the task, so you have to do the work on that one, you have to do work on that one. Okay, so we are ready to do work. So that is what we are not going to focus the any documentation and designing. Okay, so less documentation is in the agile. So what is the difference between the agile and scrum? This is mostly asked question. Okay, how we can say the agile is different and scrum is different? Okay, so the agile process का disadvantage क्या है? Less documentation. Okay, we not going for the loss that is document, because requirement are get changes anytime the customer is saying something. Okay, so let us take the one call, and that is meeting. The meeting we are going to assign the some task. Okay, today we have to do this one. Okay, that is on the priority basis. So less documentation. Okay, less formal. So we need to go for as per the call. Okay, yes, so we no need to go for the documentation and all. So in the in the agile waterfall model, all this scripted. Okay, all the documentation are scripted properly. So if there are any changes, so we need to follow the entire process once again. Okay, once we have the no requirement and everything is fixed, then they go for the waterfall. But that is decision in the organization. It's not in our hand. Okay. So the most important question, what is the difference between Agile and Scrum? Okay. So if the someone interviewer can ask you the one question, can you know any disadvantage? Can you tell me the any disadvantage of the Agile? So you can simply say there is a less documentation. That's it. Okay. And we have the very fast delivery. So that's why we follow the less documentation. If you follow the documentation, you will get the delivery very you know that is a large time. Okay, more time, it will take the more time, right? So just a call you are assigning and assigning the task we are doing. Okay, today in this call we are saying that we need to do the work on that one, so we work down, and the customer get the very delivery fast. Okay, if you go for the documentation and each and everything, so it will take the more time to deliver. Okay, so what is the difference between the agile and scrum? Okay, so Agile is the SDLC model and Scrum is the framework. Okay, Agile is the model, methodology or Agile process. You can say SDLC model. Agile is the SDLC model, and Scrum is just a framework. Okay, so Agile is what? Process model that define what? Principles. Agile having the some principle, and Scrum follows this Agile principle. Okay, Scrum is the framework. What is a Scrum? Scrum is the framework. Okay, what is framework? Is a set of rules, something. Okay, we do the you can say this is one setup rules and something rules we need to follow to do the work or to do the task. Okay, so how to follow the agile principle? Okay, so the scrum is what a framework which how to follow the agile principle. It is used to develop and test the application. Okay, so agile is what, sorry, the scrum is what, framework. Agile is principle. Okay, so the scrum follows the agile principle. Okay, scrum क्या है? That is framework. Okay, so how it is different? Okay, how the scrum is different from the agile? Agile is the model, agile is the process, scrum is the framework which follows the agile process. Okay, which follows the agile principle. Okay, so the scrum process we use, okay, scrum framework we use to develop and test the software. Okay, we use the scrum process. Okay, scrum framework we use for develop and test the softwares, and then the scrum they will ask the task, assign the task, that is user story for the developer. Okay, so developer work on the user story, and once that get developed by the developer, we test that the same user story. Tester will test the user story. So agile is the model process, okay, that having defined the principles, and scrum which follows the agile principle because scrum is the framework, and we use to develop and test the softwares. Okay, this is what scrum. So the agile scrum, okay, so we can say the definition of the scrum. Scrum is the framework through which we build a software product by following the agile principle. By following the agile principle means by applying the agile principle. Okay, where the agile principle get applied on the scrum. Scrum is the framework, okay, which follows the agile principles. Okay, so you know the what is the scrum team? This is very important and important question. Okay, so what is scrum? So you can say simply the scrum is a framework which follows the agile principle. Then they immediately ask the one question, what are the agile principles? So you can say the agile principles are, we will get the customer will get the build, okay, piece of software fastly. Okay, there is a cycle and we can already we can do the changes, okay, easily. So you can say that like this way. Okay, then what is the scrum team? What are the role? Okay, in the scrum team we have what, product owner, then scrum master, development team and QA team, dev team and QA team. Okay, product owner, scrum master. Okay, so what is the role for the product owner? He design product backlog. Okay, write the user story, product backlog. What is the product backlog? Set up user story. Okay, list of the user story. Scrum master assign the task, which drives the agile process. Developer is develop. Development team is develop. Okay, QA team is testing the product. Okay, testing the software. So what are the responsibility for the product owner? Define the features of the product. Okay, that is defined features of the product. Then prioritize features according to the market values. Okay, gives the priorities. Okay, he's giving the prioritize the features, so we are giving the priority to the features, okay, according to the market value as per the market standard. So we need to work on this one, we need to work on that. That is what user story that giving the priority. Okay, adjust the features and priority every iteration as needed. Okay, so adjust the features and priority every iteration. So for the iteration is nothing but the sprint. Okay, so in the every sprint, okay, that is getting what priority. Yeah, so we have to keep this one user story, we have to work on that one. So the project or product owner is responsible that one. Okay, then accept or reject the work result. So the developer and QA, developer developed that one and QA tested after the, then we have the sprint review. Okay, and sprint retrospective. Then at that time, so the product owner get accepted or rejected the result. Okay, if it is accepted then it is okay, and if it rejected we have to do the some changes. Okay, the whatever we asked by the means whatever the changes will be told by the product owner, we need to work on that. So the product owner is the highest priority person, okay, who will get accept and reject us our work. Okay, so this is what responsibility of the product owner. Then the scrum master is the main role, okay, which drives the agile process, and he is going to assign the task also. Okay, so the scrum master is what main role, that is facilitating uh, facil facilitating and driving the agile process. Okay, it's the agile driver. So is responsible how the agile process is going on. That is very important. Everyone is following the agile process or not. Everyone is doing the work as assigned. Okay, the work is assigned, that is in the to do. Okay, then if he is accepted the work, that is what in the status will take it as a in progress. That means he is doing the work on that task, and once it's get completed, then we'll see that done state. Okay, to do, in progress, and done state. These are the three states that is displaying the Jira tool. Okay, so the scrum master is responsible for everything, so it will check uh, how the means how the team is working properly or not, and that is following the agile principle or not. Okay, so that is what they are delivering. They are maintaining this user story, as well as the time means story point, that is completing their work within the time or not. Okay, and developer and QA team that having the respective work. Okay, so developer tasks, the unit testing, integration testing, and coding. Okay, so developer will do this kind of task. Okay, and the QA team, the QA team, what is the work of for the QA team. Okay, as a tester point of view, you have to test the applications, right? That may be the smoke testing, sanity testing, regression kind of the testing, functional testing, everything. Okay, so what are the most important terminology that is used in the agile and scrum process? Okay, that is what the term is, what user story. Okay, user story. Now what is the user story? It's a requirement. Okay, so we can say that is a feature and module. So in the agile process, the requirement word is not used. Okay, requirement word is not used. So they use simply word, that is what user story. So you need to identify in the agile process, in the agile scrum process, user story is nothing but the requirement. Okay, so user story is features or module in a software. Okay, then the epic. Okay, epic is what collection of the user story. Okay, collection of the user story, and you can say that is our product backlog. Epic or collection of the user story. Then user story define who, that is defined by the product owner. Epic is the collection of user story. Okay, so they might already ask the question, what is epic? So simply you can say
Epic, epic means collection of user stories, no?
yes,
मतलब
yes,
product backlog, no?
yes. So epic option will show you the product backlog. Okay, epic option will show you in the Jira software.
Okay.
So you need to understand epic means just a list of user story. Okay, collection of the user story, you can say. Okay, that is also the product backlog. And product backlog is the document where the user story can write the product owner. Okay, and the word team, when we start the sprint planning, we work on the user story. That is what sprint backlog. Okay, so then we are going to write in the epic. Okay, so epic option is available in the Jira tool. So product owner is get right there. Okay, in the epic, that is what collection of user story, and we pick up the one user story as per the priority base. Okay, then we are going to work on that. So the every sprint we are working in the one user story. Okay, so the epic option will be get in your Jira tool. Okay, so they will ask you not a product backlog, but they might ask about what is epic. Okay, so they will just check, are you with familiar with the agile process and scrum process or not. So that's why they will ask what is user story. what is a story point, what is epic. Okay, so you can simply say this is list of the user story, and you can say that is nothing but the product backlog. And who will write the user story and epic? Only the product owner. Yes, they can ask you the one question, can you write the user story for homepage of Amazon? So you can simply say yes. So how you can write? So you can write the user story in the home page of the landing page of the Amazon. So list out all this product should be display. Okay, that is simple user story. You can say that's it. That display the all this product. Okay, all the varieties of the product. We can say this is user story. So but simply we need to write only simply. Okay, because someone they ask in the interview write the user story, बहुत डर जाते हो, अरे कैसे लिखेंगे यूजर स्टोरी. It was simple term, it's nothing, it's just a requirement, that's it. Okay, so but who is responsible for writing the user story? That is product owner, because we are the QA team. Okay. So they will ask the question, if I given you the task for writing the user story, can you write the user story? You can simply say yes. Before that you can say this is the responsibility of the product owner, but if I assign the task for writing the user story, then I will understand the requirement, and based on that one I am going to write the user story. Okay, you can simply say like this way. Then product backlog. Okay, you know that this is, yes, the same thing. Epic, no, list of user story. Okay, that is contain the list of user story, same thing. Okay, collection of user story and list of the user story, all are same. Okay, so in the epic you are get collected the all user story, that is option is available in Jira tool. Okay, Jira is the agile process management system, as well as the Jira is also the defect reporting and defect tracking. So the product backlog is contains the list of the user story. Okay, that is a list of user story, and you can epic, you can say the collection of the user story. Okay, who is preparing? Product owner. So it will be the product backlog, how it is look like. So it will be in the Excel sheet documentation. Okay, product backlog is in the Excel sheet documentation. It's like RTM, but user story test scenarios will be there. This document is like RTM. ठीक है, इसके तरह दिखेगा यहाँ पे, टेस्ट सिनारियो दिख के रहेगा यहाँ पे, एंड टेस्ट सिनारियोस, एंड हियर हैविंग द यूजर स्टोरी, ऐसा ही दिखेगा. Okay, that will be prepared by the product owner, not our task.
सेम ही है ना epic and product
Yes, yes,
backlog?
all are same. In the epic we are going to collect all the user story, and that is product backlog is the list of the user story. Product backlog, okay, we'll get the option in the epic, not product backlog. In Jira tool, we'll get the option as a epic. So that's why the interviewer can ask the question, what is epic? We can simply say the list of the user story. Okay, or the collection of the user story. All the user story, a list of the user story and collection of user story, both are same.
Uh-huh.
Okay, collection means we are just collecting. Collecting is nothing but the list.
Hmm.
Okay, all are same. So collection, and we are listing out. Okay, so that is Excel document Product backlog we can write in the Excel documentation, and this epic we can write in this user story. That is, epic is the option in Jira tool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then what is sprint? Sprint is what? Time. Is a period of time to complete the user story. Okay, user story is nothing but the requirement. Sprint is what? Period of the time to complete a user story. So these are words are used to say in the interviews. Okay, so these slides are started for the interviews. Okay, so जो भी स्टेटमेंट यहाँ पे लिखे हैं यू कैन यूज फॉर द इंटरव्यूज. ये जो लाइन्स है यही लाइन यूज करना है आपको इंटरव्यू में. ठीक है, दिस ऑल आर फॉर द इंटरव्यूज. ये same words you can use in the interviews. Okay, so we can simply say what is sprint? Period of time to complete a user story, and that is decided by the product owner and team. Okay, which is decided by the product owner and team. Okay, so usually what will be the your sprint time for your organization? Okay, so you know the sprint is having the 2 to 4 week of the time, so you can simply say the 2 week of the time. Okay, what is your sprint time? What is your organization sprint time? You can say the 2 week. Okay, 2 week, in a month, 2 week in a month. Okay, so this is what 2 weeks. We can simply say the 2 weeks. So this is one iteration. Sprint is nothing but the iteration. And the sprint planning meeting, what to be done in the sprint planning. Okay, स्प्रिंट प्लानिंग में हम क्या करते हैं कि किस पे वर्क करना है ना, क्या ड्यूरेशन रहेगा. सो वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस व्हाट टू बी डिलीवर इन द sprint. Okay, the sprint planning. Okay, so this is the first meeting. We start to work on this one, that is what sprint planning. So meeting conduct with the team to define what can be delivered in the next sprint. Okay, and the duration. So generally we start the duration, that is what 2 week of time. Okay, 2 week of the sprint we started, and the beginning stage of the project. When we start the sprint planning, okay, beginning stage of the project, the first meeting. Okay, that is sprint planning. What to be delivered in the next sprint, and what will be the duration. The meeting is conducted with the team to define what to be delivered. Okay, what can be the delivered. ठीक है, क्या हम डिलीवर करने वाले हैं. Okay, so we have to work on that. So the sprint backlog. Okay, product backlog is the list of the user stories. Sprint backlog is a part of the product backlog. So sprint, what is the difference between the sprint backlog and product backlog? Okay, so product backlogs contain the list of the user story, and sprint backlog is what? It's a subset of the product backlog. So sprint backlog means we need to committed to do work. Okay, we need to committed. So we are working on this user story, so we committed that one. So the list of committed story by the developer or QA for the specific sprint. Okay, list of committed stories by developer or QA for the specific sprint. जिस स्टोरी पे काम करना है इसको हम बोलेंगे स्प्रिंट बैकलॉग. Okay, that is what list of committed stories by the developer and QA going to be work for the specific sprint. Okay, the sprint backlog we can say the subset of the product backlog. Product backlogs contain the list of the user story, and sprint backlog, what is the sprint backlog? That is committed to do work. Okay, we kept from uh, we take from the product backlog here, and that is a sprint backlog. Then we are going to start a meeting. Okay, and everything will be get start. So this is what sprint backlog. Okay, next, the scrum meeting. We have the daily scrum meeting every day, 10 to 15 minutes of the call. Okay, that is what stand up call. Scrum call, you can say the stand up call. And who will get conduct this scrum meeting? Scrum master. Okay, because he is going to assign the task, right? So scrum master, because he is responsible to drive the agile principle. Okay, agile process, and the brand of chart. Okay, and that charts he will check how much work done, okay, how much is remaining. Okay, so it will check the task, okay, in the daily scrum, what you did yesterday, what we are going to do today, and what we are going to do on tomorrow. Okay, so that is what planning also a solution. If you have any doubts, okay, so the last working day, if you have any doubts in that, okay, if you are facing some issues while doing your work, can ask here, because we have the daily scrum meeting, so you can ask here. Okay, so are there any implementation, okay, any planning solution, so you can ask here. Okay, so are you facing any issues, if you are facing any challenge. Okay, so in the scrum call we are going to discuss this one. So that is very important. What are the ceremonies are available in the agile process? They ask this question, what are the ceremonies? Ceremony is nothing but the meeting. And simply say the sprint planning, sprint daily scrum, and sprint review. Okay, these are the meetings, these are the ceremonies. Then the most important is what, that is sprint retrospective meeting. So it is only one, in the only one sprint, one meeting. Okay, that is also the end. And in the sprint retrospective meeting, what we are going to discuss, what went well. Okay, so that is meeting is conducting after the completion of the sprint. We already discussed in the agile. Okay, so that is previous classes, 4 to 5 previous days we have already discussed. But why we are going to discuss, this is very important for the interview point of view. And we have to say like this way, whatever the words and statement I have written here. Okay, simply this is very understandable, and we have to say like this way. Okay, so in the sprint retrospective meeting, what is going to be happen? Okay, so that is conducted after the completion of the sprint. Also the sprint review, the meeting will be conducted after the completion. Okay, so in this meeting, so entire team including the both the scrum master as well as the product owner. Okay, team means a dev and QA team, and the both, that is scrum master as well as the product owner, that is also participates. Okay, and we'll discuss what went well, okay, and what will wrong in the previous sprint. Okay, what was wrong, and uh, what to be good, okay, what went well. So that will get discussed in the sprint retrospective meeting. क्या अच्छा हो सकता है, okay, any improvement is required, okay, what was the wrong in this last sprint, okay, everything. So इस sprint में हमारी requirement complete नहीं हुई है पूरी, something went wrong, so we have to discuss in this sprint. Okay, that is in the retrospective meeting. Okay, so now the most important point, that is what story point. Okay, where you have to assign the story point, that is in the Jira. Okay, Jira tool, Jira software, that is agile management process. So Jira software, which is the agile management tool, completely agile management tool. Okay, सारे principles follow करते हैं. Agile is an automation tool for the agile principle, and there is a Scrum framework and Kanban framework. So we work on this Scrum framework. Okay, as well as Jira allowed to write test cases, test scenarios, defect reporting, and defect tracking also. Okay, we can track the defect, we can report the defect in the Jira. So that's why the Jira is more powerful tool for the agile management process. Okay, so in that, having the some option, that is what story point. Okay, story point. So the story point in the agile or scrum terminology, okay, we can say it's a roughly estimation of the user story. So when you are going to complete this user story, and how much time is required to complete this user story. So your user story is creating the registration module. Okay, registration page, this is your user story. So developer will ask in this meeting how much time you required, okay, how much time will take to complete this one. So he can say as a in the point what user a story point, okay, as a story point. So we have to give there the story point. Okay, developer as well as the tester will ask after completion of this dev team. Okay, so we'll ask in which time, how much time you will complete this testing task. Okay, so we have to give there one story point. So every organization that follows the standard story point, and this is in the form of Fibonacci series. Okay, do you know what is Fibonacci series?
Nine.
Okay, so Fibonacci series is means what? So we start with from the 0. Okay, then this is 1, and this is again 1. Okay, then this is what 2, and then 3. Okay, can you guess what will be the next?
2 bar 1.
Yes, this is Fibonacci series.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, what will be the next? Okay, so here is the 5, then here is the 8. Okay, and 11 and so on. This is known as Fibonacci series. Okay, so this is the Fibonacci series. Okay, so in the if you know the C++, Java programming language, I always take these questions. Okay, the program to write a program for the Fibonacci series and what is the logic behind that one. Okay, so I always take that one. So the
अच्छा
Fibonacci,
ये एडिशन है क्या मतलब
yes,
0 0 + 1 1
yes, correct,
+1 2 2
yes,
+ 1 3
correct.
ऐसा.
Yeah, that is the Fibonacci series. So what is going to be happen in the every digit? So it is get added, है ना? Previous digit get added to the next digit. So that means the time will get like this way. Okay. So one digit get added in the next. Okay. So your time. So if I given here the 2 hours, 2 hours, then after the 3, okay, then again I am giving 2, so it will get calculated how much? 2 plus 5. Okay, so here is get 5, and again plus 2, it will get what? 7. So it will take the 7 hours to complete this work. Okay, so it follows in the form of Fibonacci series. So this is known as a story point. We have to give the roughly estimation of the user story when you are going to complete this one. Developer asks how much user story, how much story point you can give to complete this user story, and the QA also they ask how much story point you can give to complete this user story for the testing. Okay, so what is story point and what is the timing for that one? Okay, so one story point means 1 hours or 1 day. 1 day means 6 hours. As per the company standard, they follows their story point. Okay, so one story point is nothing but the 1 hour. Some organization is follows one story point is 1 hours. Some organization is follows one story point is 6 hours. Okay, or 1 day. 1 day means 6 hours. Okay, suppose I want one having the one user story, that is what we have to create the login form. Okay, so the developer has given there. Okay, so developer has given the uh, story point, that is what? 5. If your company is following one story point is equal to 1 hour, so that means what? 5 hours. Okay, that means what? 5 hours. So this is user story, login is the user story, and developer has given the 5 story point. Okay, so that means it's a 5 hours. If your company is following one story point is equal to 1 hour. So don't say that my company the user story is 1 hour and 1 day. Okay, simply say one story point is equal to 1 hour that my company is following. Okay, or you can say the one story point means they simply ask what is story point and what is the uh, duration of your story point. Okay, so you can simply say the story point is nothing but the rough estimation of the to complete the user story. Okay, and in my organization I am following we are following that one story is equal to 1 hour. That's it. Okay, you can simply say this one. One story point is equal to 1 hour. Or if you want to say the 6 hour, you can say the 6 hours. One story point is 1 day. Okay.
Mhm.
So one story point is 1 hour. So suppose you are following your organization, this is organization standard. Okay, you can't say the one story is equal to 1 hour or one story point is equal to 1 day. You can't say because this is the organization standard. Your company is saying one story point is equal to 1 hour. So according to that one, you have to give here the story point. Okay, so if you want to, in this user story developer is going to develop this user story that is login, it is required what 5 hours, and the company is following one story point is equal to 1 hours. So developer simply says five story point. Okay,
Mhm.
that is what five story point. That means 5 hours. So developer is going to work estimate. It's a roughly estimate. So it may be the 4 hours or it may be the 5 6 hours. Development can do the work within the 5 hours or he can after the 5 hours means it can take the 6 hours also, no problem. This is a roughly estimation. Okay,
एक मिनट मेरा एक डाउट है अब लॉगिन पेज का जो है वो एक स्टोरी हो गया है, ठीक है,
user story, yes.
यूजर स्टोरी हो गई, लेकिन वो लॉगिन पेज का जो यूजर स्टोरी कंप्लीशन के लिए हमको सपोज 5 डेज लगेंगे, राइट,
Hmm.
कंप्लीट करने के लिए, तो फिर एज पर वो कैलकुलेशन 5 स्टोरी पॉइंट कैलकुलेट हुआ ऐसा बताना है क्या?
नहीं, वो तो ज़्यादा हो जाएगा फिर। 5 days कंसिडर नहीं करते, हमको टास्क डेली वाला आता है।
अच्छा।
ठीक है, तो लॉगिन अभी हमारी कंपनी चेक करी वन स्टोरी पॉइंट इज इक्वल टू 1 hour हो रहा है।
1 आवर।
ठीक है, सो वन स्टोरी पॉइंट इज इक्वल टू 1 hour, तो हम लॉगिन को 5 days अगर लगा रहे हैं, कैलकुलेट करो।
5 डेज यानी 1 डे में 6 आवर्स, ओके।
उसके हिसाब से आपको यहाँ पे
ओके।
मेंशन करना है कितने आवर्स लगेंगे मुझे। ओके, एंड अगर आप 5 days के तरफ जाते हो एंड आवर स्प्रिंट टाइमिंग क्या है, 2 week है। ठीक है कि नहीं, तो ऐसा होता नहीं है। ठीक है, अगर वो कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है तो उस पर वर्क होता है, दैट इज
ओके।
डिपेंडेंट। Okay, that is dependent, and once we start in the real time environment, that can be anything. Okay, which can be anything. So but at a as a interview point of view, we have to say like this way. And QA taking the 3 hours to test this environment, to test this developed by the developer team. Okay, so QA is taking what 3 hours. Okay, so you can say here the three story point.
स्टोरी पॉइंट।
Hmm. So this is story point is available in the Jira. Okay, so once is assigned a task, so in the Jira software, so we have to select that one. Okay, or someone means a scrum master is also available there. Okay, so he's automatically get added there, and user stories get added by the scrum master, and that assign the task to the developer, and that is given in the in the daily scrum meeting ask for the how much time it can take, so it's taking saying that 5 hours. So the scrum master that added the 5 as a user story, a story point. Okay, that is 5 as a story point. So that is select a story point. Okay, in the Jira. So some consider.
लॉगिन और लॉगिन हो गया सपोज स्टोरी, राइट,
Hmm,
और जो 5 है वो हो गया स्टोरी पॉइंट,
yes.
एग्जाम्पल के तौर। Right.
Yes. Story point is nothing but the roughly estimation of the user story. It's a
मतलब
time.
टाइम
Time.
कितना लगेगा उस
Yes.
स्टोरी को कंप्लीट होने
करने
के
के
लिए
लिए
कितना
टाइम.
टाइम
That is story point.
ओके
So they will ask what is story point in interview, because this is terminology. This is what terms we use in the Agile Scrum. What is story point? So we need to aware about the story point. Story point is nothing but the rough estimation to complete our user story. We give this story point, okay, developer and tester, that give the when we are going to complete our task, okay, roughly estimation हम देते हैं कि ये टास्क हम इतने आवर्स में या इतने स्टोरी पॉइंट में कंप्लीट करेंगे. So the story point having the some formula, okay, one story point is equal to 1 hours or 1 day. So what is the time period of your story point? You can say the one story point is equal to 1 hour. That is our organization is following. Okay, some companies are considered as a one story point is equal to 1 hour, or some companies are considered as a one story point is equal to 6 hour. That is depend on the organization. So this is about what story point. That is very very important. So whatever I discuss in the slides, these are very very important as a interview point of view. So once you get started for attending the interview and you are getting the some new terminology, so you can get back to me. Okay, so I will explain that one. Then burn down chart. Okay, so the burn down chart that contains means how much work is remaining in the sprint. That shows how much work is remaining in the sprint. That is shown in the burn down chart. So you know who is responsible for this one? Scrum Master. So Scrum Master will maintain this one. Okay, because the task is assigned by the Scrum Master, and that is shows in the to do, in progress and done stage, and the Scrum Master will click on that one, so it will display the how much work is remaining in the sprint. Okay, so it will discuss we have the 2 weeks of the time and we have to do complete the work, okay, like this way. That is what burn down chart. So sometimes in the interview they will ask what is burn down chart. Okay, so why they are going to ask such type of questions? So they are going to check whether we are familiar with the agile process or not. Okay, so that's why I'm spending the more time in this agile and methodology. So that is very very important. You know the agile, okay. So it has, and you are testing the project in the agile environment. So you can say you are the agile tester. Okay, so you can proudly say I'm the agile tester because I know the agile process. This is what agile scrum framework. Here is what product owner that take the requirement from the customer. Okay, users, input, executives, team, stakeholder. Then product owner is going to write the product backlog that is contains what list of the user story. Okay, what are the features, describe the feature story requirement, everything is right. Then in the sprint planning meeting we discuss, okay, what to be delivered in the next sprint, क्या हमको deliver करना है. So we are going to commit, okay, that is the end point. And we are going to select the topmost as can be commit. Okay, so this is what we are going to discuss in the sprint planning. And in the sprint backlog then we committed on which user story we have to work. Okay, that is committed work. And sprint backlog is nothing but the product, a subset of the product backlog. And now the sprint is get started. Okay,
ये स्प्रिंट और स्टोरी पॉइंट में क्या डिफरेंस है
sprint having the delivery. ओके, ये जो हम पीस ऑफ सॉफ्टवेयर है हम कब डिलीवर करेंगे. और जो स्प्रिंट सॉरी यूजर जो स्टोरी
स्टोरी
पॉइंट है वो हम टास्क है, उस टास्क को हम कितना टाइम लगा रहे हैं वो है.
स्प्रिंट नॉर्मली सिर्फ साइकिल है ना
यस, स्प्रिंट इज द साइकिल.
लेकिन मतलब टाइम
टास्क
है
है।
2 वीक,
यस।
हाँ 2 वीक या फिर 3 वीक।
हम्म।
तो
सो उसमें जो
ऐसा बोल
टास्क
सकते
है,
हैं क्या कि एक स्प्रिंट में कितनी स्टोरीज हम कंप्लीट कर रहे हैं? स्प्रिंट के अंदर स्टोरीज रहेंगी ना?
यस, स्प्रिंट के
राइट ना?
अंदर हम स्टोरी रहेंगे, करेक्ट। कमिटेड स्टोरीज, दैट में बी 1 2 3 4 वट एवर, कितने भी रह सकती है ना।
हम्म।
सो एक ही यूजर स्टोरी नहीं, रजिस्टर छोटे छोटे मॉड्यूल्स के अंदर बहुत सारे
क्योंकि
स्टोरेज रह
एक
सकते हैं।
एक स्टोरी को कंप्लीट करने के लिए भी तो डिफरेंट मतलब नंबर ऑफ स्प्रिंट्स लगेंगे ना हमको।
यस, दैट इज आल्सो डिपेंडेंट। तो अभी यहाँ से हमने स्प्रिंट कमिटेड स्टोरी पे वर्क करना है हमको। तो ये
हम्म
हमारा डिलीवर रहेगा कि यूज़र रजिस्ट्रेशन, फिर यूज़र लॉगिन फॉर्म। ठीक है,
हम्म
उसमें भी कुछ टास्क रहेंगे, डेवलपर के टास्क अलग रहेंगे, टेस्टर के टास्क अलग रहेंगे। ठीक है। सो डेवलपर वो बनाने के लिए कितना स्टोरी पॉइंट यूज़ करेगा, एंड टेस्टर उसको टेस्ट करने के लिए कितना स्टोरी पॉइंट लगेगा, उस स्प्रिंट के अंदर हम स्टोरी पॉइंट देंगे जो यूज़र
हम्म।
स्टोरी पे वर्क चल रहा है। ये हमारा वर्क है स्प्रिंट बैकलॉग।
ओके।
ये कंप्लीट स्टोरी है उस, सॉरी मतलब यूज़र स्टोरी, उसके अंदर हम टास्क है छोटे छोटे, डेवलपर के टास्क अलग है, टेस्टर के टास्क अलग है। तो उस टास्क को हम क्या दे रहे हैं, टाइम दे रहे हैं, उसको बोलते हैं हम स्टोरी पॉइंट।
हम्म।
ओके, can say here the rough estimation of user story will given by the developer or tester in the form of Fibonacci series. Okay, roughly estimation. So use every user story can give the story point. Then the Jira we can check there. Okay, so how we can assign the story point and everything. Okay, so the sprint is get started. Okay, here the 2 week of the sprint time, then the sprint end, and the inch the suppose we have the 2 week of the sprint, and every day we have the scrum call, daily scrum meeting. Okay, then the sprint end date and the team deliverable do not change. Okay, and here having the finish work, and then we go for what, sprint review. ओके, जो बनाया है वो वही सब कुछ बराबर है क्या नहीं, देन स्प्रिंट रेट्रोस्पेक्ट्रो, व्हाट वेंट वेल, वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस। ओके, सो और क्या हो सकता है, कुछ रिक्वायरमेंट चेंजेस है या नहीं है। देन द स्क्रम मास्टर इज हियर एंड द एंटायर स्प्रिंट विल चेक हाउ मच वर्क इज रिमेनिंग बाय checking the burn down or burn up chart. Okay, this simple thing. So this is very important now. So what are the artifacts? Okay, in the Agile or in the Scrum framework. So interviewer can ask what is the artifact, okay, in a Agile process. So artifact is nothing but the documents. Okay, that is what sprint backlog and product backlog. That's it. Only two documentations in the Agile process. That is what artifact. Okay, you can say that is artifact, product backlog, and sprint backlog. You know, the less documentation are available in the Agile, right? We have the lots of meeting. So what are the roles in the Agile? Product owner, Scrum Master, and team. Team that is container dev and QA team. What are the ceremonies? Ceremonies mean meetings, sprint planning, daily scrum, sprint review. Okay, sprint retrospective you can say, but simply you can say the sprint planning, daily scrum, and sprint reviews. Sprint retrospective is also available, no problem. Okay, but these are the ceremonies are very important. Okay, so this is about Agile Scrum's principles or the interviews. This is burn down chart. Okay, day one up to the day end. Okay, then final day. This is the chart. Okay, let इसके लाइन के ऊपर गया, so we can say here the late project. Okay, recovery and delivery early पहले करेंगे तो okay, so this is burn down chart that is by scrum master use, and the scrum board of the scrum master, that is say all the task board. Okay, you can say this is a task board. It's a Scrum Master activities. These are the user stories and tasks to do. To do means he is assigned task to the developer and QA, but he's not started the work. Okay, once he's accepted the work to do task, then it will shows that in a progress state. Okay, in the progress stage. Okay, so the Scrum Master can easily identify he is working on this task. Okay, uh, in this user story, and these are the some many tasks. Okay, and he's working on that task, and once it's completed, so it will be given as a done state. Okay, done state, to do state, a work in progress state, and done state. These are the three states will display in the Jira. Okay, to do means task is assigned, work in progress means he is doing work on that. Okay, he accepted and started the work, and done state means he has completed the work. This is what Scrum board, or you can say the task board. This is for what Scrum Master. Okay, so these are the very important things today we explain about Agile and Scrum process. Up to here is clear because this is very important for the interview. Agile, Scrum, okay, role, team, advantage, disadvantage, user story, peak, product backlog, okay, sprint planning, Scrum meeting, retrospective meeting, story point, burn down chart. We have to know about this one. That's it. This is one part for the interviews. Agile Scrum is the one part for the interviews. Then a manual testing interviews is a other part that contains all the types of the testing, everything to know about your manual testing, how we can write the test cases, test scenarios, how we can think, what is the regression, all the types of the testing. Okay, how we done the testing. That is manual interview questions. How we can write the test case and everything. What is test plan? Okay, what is the process for writing this one? And apart from that, we have the second part, that is agile. Okay, so that is very important. And they will ask the which tool you use. You can simply say the Jira. Okay, Jira